Mr. Benzing.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. A few updates from the county. A little bit of rain. Sorry. About 22 years ago, Hillsdale County, along with another number of other counties, underwent a process where they adopted a solid waste management plan. And that basically is what we do with our trash. One of the components of that is where we send it to. We actually, as part of that plan, we actually have to designate what landfill the trash is going to go to. Whether it be construction waste or household waste, products like that. So that was actually adopted by the then Department of Environmental Quality, DEQ, which today is a little bit different name, but still basically the same agency. It was actually formally adopted by them in 2003, so 20 years ago. And one of the problems that's been identified is that a couple of those landfills are full, are running out of space, and will be closing. And so we need to identify some new ones. There have also been a number of changes in the players in hauling. So today, instead of calling that solid waste, we call it materials management. And so the DEQ has asked all the counties, there's actually going to be a formal notice sent out sometime in the early fall to all the counties that they need to update and revise their materials management plans. And so we will be putting together a group, when this was done previously. There are statutorily a number of different, so there's actual waste generators like the city of Hillsdale, and then Jefferson Township, they have an actual transfer station. Some of the townships, they basically have true transfer stations where they have basically a dirt berm with a 40-yard bin on the backside of it, and they have a fence so that you can't have access to it. And on designated days, they open that up for residents of the township. I live in Woodbridge Township. We don't have one of those, but we contract and we pay Ransom Township for our residents to be able to bring materials to that 3 times a year. I know here in Adams Township that you have a subsidy that you pay, and you offer your residents to be able to go to Hillsdale. I also believe when Hillsdale was closed down, you also had Jefferson. I don't know if you still continue that or not, but I know at one time you had also offered that, and so it offsets some of the cost of that. Also, players in that are going to be somebody from industry, because industry generates anything from metal chips to sawdust. So the actual waste haulers, they will be participants of that. Representatives from environmental groups, so probably Soil Conservation District or one of our couple of conservation clubs that we have in the county. And then there are members of the general public. So right now we are in the process of identifying who we actually need to have, not individuals by name, but who those players are going to be. And once we have that, we will formalize that and formulate that as a task force, and then we'll have a call out to you folks, the public, township board members, looking for representatives. And then we'll make appointments to that. It'll probably be a couple-year process. It actually took us about 3 years last time we did one of these. So there will probably be some professional advice from Region 2 that goes into this as well. And we will then formalize the plan, send it off to the state, and hope they accept it. If they don't, they'll send it back and tell us what we need to fix. So, but I do want to get that on your radar so you are aware of it. It's something, like I say, it'll probably be a couple of years in the making to get it done. And just to have an idea that we probably will be looking for some volunteers to serve on. Hillsdale County for the last several years has contracted with Lenawee County for medical examiner services. So anytime anyone dies out of the hospital under the direct supervision of a physician, the medical examiner, which is a statutory office, it has to be either an MD, a medical doctor, or a DO, Dr. Waspy Pappy. And that's been since the late 1960s. We went away from the old system of having a county coroner, which really can be anybody. And the legislature made it actually use a physician. So anyways, we have contracted for the last several years with Lenawee County to provide provide those medical examiner services. And then under the medical examiner, they have medical examiner investigators, who are generally people who have a background either in EMS, nursing, law enforcement, some basically how the system works, and they actually are the field investigators that go out, and then they, in conjunction with the medical examiner, will determine whether or not we need to do an autopsy. We actually use a contract with Lucas County down in Ohio to do our autopsy. That got to be pretty expensive. And so Dr. Casson, who's the ME over in Lenawee County, like I say, we contracted with them for probably 4 or 5 years now. That's saved us a bit of money doing that. Well, when they built a new hospital over in Lenawee County, replaced the old Bixby Hospital, closed that, and closed Herrick Hospital in Tecumseh, they built Hickman, which is sort of halfway between Adrian and Tecumseh. They had Morgan. So Lenawee County actually started contracting with Jackson County because they have more. And so actually bodies from Hillsdale County, they have been transported since Hickman opened up, probably about 3 years ago. Those bodies have been transferred up to Jackson, and our autopsies have been conducted up there. And that's worked out pretty well. We actually had some discussions during the winter of last year about possibly forming a 3-county collaborative, where basically we have one medical examiner rather than the shared partnership we have with Lenawee, and Jackson is actually twice as big as Lenawee County in population. They do a lot of autopsies. They have a prison up there, and so consequently, any time a death occurs in a correctional facility, regardless, they have to have an autopsy. So anyways, we talked about collaborative. Well, Dr. Casson, who was the ME over in Lenawee County, he passed away last month. And so that left us kind of in the lurch, and left Lenawee in the lurch. So we have now entered into a contract with Dr. John Mato, who is the MD in Jackson County. So Dr. Mato is now Hillsdale County's medical examiner, as well as Lenawee's and Jackson County's. And we will continue to move forward. Right now we have a contractual, but we will continue, and if anything, this may have kind of sped up the discussions about having that 3-county and possibly even a 4th county. We've had some discussion of including Livingston County, which is similar in population to Lenawee County as part of that. So something that the state has actually been strongly encouraging for a number of years now. Kalamazoo County, they have a consortium that's based out of Springer Medical School here at Western. They do like 12 or 13 counties. Some of them as far north as like Ludington. So we feel that having it more local would be probably a benefit to everyone. And so that is kind of an evolving thing, but I do want you to be aware. So if you need a death certificate, those will be available still either in the office. There is an office in Lenawee, and you can go and get one of those over in Lenawee County at the MD office, or you will also now be able to go up to Jackson County. It's a little bit north of 94, where the morgue is located, the office of the MD is, and obtain one of those there as well. We continue to try and figure out what we are going to do at our district court. We know that earlier this year we sold the building in which our district court and courthouse manager in. I voted against selling that building because we didn't have a plan where we were going to put that court. And very honestly, we still don't have a plan where we're going to put it. We've looked at various options, and right now, what seems to be the most practical, not necessarily affordable, but the most practical is the building that currently the Department of Human Services, DHS building on Pier Drive, is about a 15,000 square foot building. And that would actually be big enough for to put 2 of our 3 county courts into that building. So probably 2 criminal courts, circuit court, and district court. We don't know that that's going to be indefinite yet, but that is a building we already own. It's cheaper certainly than buying one. We still would have a considerable amount of renovations because courts have very specific things, and while our district court's been there for a long, long time, and we don't have to comply with it, things like the benches that the judges sit behind are actually supposed to be bulletproof. Technology, we do an awful lot of proceedings today by video over the internet. And so having the technology updated and be able to host those and have reliable, robust connection, those are all part of it. Screening, actually having someone there at the door that does inspections. X-rays, any briefcases or bags, packages coming in, as well as running people through Benzing-Adams. We don't do that in any of our courses. We have mixed uses for our buildings, and not court dedicated, but if we move to a new building, that's probably going to be a requirement that we're going to have to comply with. So all those things are expensive. So what we have done is we have contracted with the same architect that did drawings for us with the historic courthouse, proposed some additions on there, which were pretty expensive. But the drawings would give us an idea of a presence for the clerk, because the county clerk was very much in conjunction with. The other thing is we have a lot of records stored in the basement of the courthouse annex. We got to have climate control. We can't just stick those in a storage unit or a pole barn. We have to have the air conditioned, they have to be heated. Humidity has to be controlled so that they don't deteriorate over time. They also have to be accessible, so you can't just pile them one on top of each other, because at some point, especially on fields, that have to be able to go and physically retrieve those records. And so this building, we have now contracted again with an architectural firm. We're going to pay about $10,000. They're going to give us a couple of proposals. First will be to use the existing footprint, that 15,000 square foot, and what we can do with that. And then the second would be what that would look like with an addition that would then bring all three courts, probate, circuit, and district, plus some space for the county clerk. Clerk will probably be in 2 different locations. There will be one where probably in one of our buildings in downtown, but then at least an office space and 1 or 2 people who would work out there in that courts building to handle all of those filings and keeping of the records, getting those records to the courts, and helping with those type of things. So that will continue to proceed. The next big question will be how we pay for that. As you know, we put a tremendous amount of money into our historic courthouse. That project is still not finished yet. We don't know what the total bill will be for that. And new construction, even remodeling construction, is very, very expensive. So but that is the direction at least we are going in now, and look at that building and see if we can make that work. And then once we have some prints, we can go out and get some actual bids and see what the actual cost will be. I am a representative to our county ambulance agencies, and for a number of years, the emergency unit are probably our biggest event we have in the county during the year. The Hilltop County Fair, they have provided medical first responder services to the fair. Last year, they reached out to all of the county EMS agencies, so like Northampton's Fire Department, my fire department, Woodbridge, Montgomery Fire Department, all the ones that have medical first responders, as well as our 4 additional beyond readings transporting the EMS agents, if they would help out with that. And I'm happy to report to you that again this year, those agencies will be helping with the fair. And it's really, really nice that they are able to do that and provide that support services. Those that are transporting agencies, they should bring an ambulance. The hospital is a few blocks away, and they can transport offsite of that. Big thing is they have to make sure that they still have enough personnel there on site to continue to provide that service. And reading will be available as well if they are not transporting, such as Benzing-Adams or my own fire department, to come get those patients and take them off to the hospital for that kind of level of service. I've talked to you previously about the need for an 800 MHz radio system within the county. We still haven't figured out how we're going to come up with a probably now $13 million price tag for that. But when we did our engineering study, one of the things we did identify is we need to have a new tower up in the Litchfield area. The tower that we have up there now, number one, we don't own the land underneath it. The city of Litchfield does. We own the tower, but not the land. And we feel for security purposes, access, things like that, we should probably own the dirt as well as the actual tower. Plus, it's not tall enough nor robust enough to handle the loading that 800 MHz radio equipment. So they said we need to build a new tower out there. So the city of Litchfield very graciously has offered to us 2.5 acres in their industrial park. It has road access off of Herring Road. And so they've offered that to us at no charge whatsoever. However, we, doing good due diligence, we did get a survey of it. We had that in advance, we know where our boundaries are. And we also did an environmental study, just a level 1, so we can benchmark if there is anything. We didn't think there was any problem with the property here, but we did feel that since we were going to take title of it, that would be be a good practice if we went and did that. That has been done as well. It came away clean, nothing unexpected there. And so we are just waiting for the final transfer documents to take place. And then we will at least have a site for that. We continue to look for one because the two other locations where we need to put towers are here in Adams Township. Somewhere around the village of North Adams, and so we continue to look for about an acre would be an appropriate site. We need to have power readily available to that. Really nice would be natural gas service because we have a backup generator, and if we don't have natural gas, we have to have an LP tank, and LP tanks, of course, have to be refilled. When you have 8 power outages, like we burn a lot of LP gas in 8 days. So having natural gas service would be really, really nice. Of course, road access into the site. So we'll continue to look for one there. Then the third site would be somewhere in the south part of the county. They had identified either in Benzing Township or Amboy Township. And again, we continue to look for sites down in those areas. The last thing I have for you is if you have not been to our county website in a month or so, I would suggest that you go and take a look. Our IT department has done a complete redesign of it. One of the things that we have included in that is space for local government. So if you don't maintain your own website, you do have a tab on there for Adams Township. And so we would be happy to host on there information about it, contact information for your board. And the big thing that we really, really want to get from you is any ordinances that you have. We would really like to have so your citizens can go to that Adams Township tab and they can look at what ordinances. We don't have a lot of ordinances at the county level. We actually are pretty clean. In fact, there's so few, we really don't have a codification system for those ordinances outside of the resolution number in which they were passed under. But we have always had those up on the county website so the public can find those. And again, if you don't have a place for you to put those out there on the web, we would be happy to just get a hold of our IT department, Dave, or Nikki, or Scott down there, and they will be happy to assist you in getting those up. And that concludes my report for this evening. Unless you have questions for me.
You saying that you guys are going to put the safety precautions in the new district court? What about the old courthouse? Are you guys going to?
Well, if we don't have any courts in there, we want it to be screened because it's just like this building, it's a public building. So, and of course, number one, our first level of defense, back in 2014, the Board of Commissioners passed a resolution that says all of our employees, if they have a concealed pistol permit, they carry guns. And I can assure you, we have a lot of firearms around the course. So we have that first level of defense. But citizens aren't cops. We also, currently, because the court is located there, we do have a full-time bailiff in the circuit court. He is there in the building. He actually opens our doors in the morning. At 8:30, the doors are open to the public, and at 5 o'clock, he goes down before we clear that building, or the sheriff himself, or a designated of the sheriff, come down, and we actually lock the doors. We may have employees working later than that, but the janitorial staff is there at night, but we make sure the doors are locked up. But as far as through the day, it's a public building. It is a public building. And, we do have the right to keep and bear arms. That's enshrined not only in the U.S. Constitution, but in the Michigan Constitution. And, we consider it good people. If they don't want to bring firearms into our buildings, we're certainly not going to stop them. Actually, we can't. Because in 1991, the state legislature said that no local unit of government can pass any restrictions on the possession of firearms that are more restrictive than the state. Other questions?
Anybody have a question?
Thank you.
I have a comment.
Yes.
I don't know what the MCO is, but townships and cities, I believe,